author chat series.
Sorry about
Good
that.
morning. Good morning, everybody. We are thrilled to have you here with us this morning as part of our Blue STEM author chat series. Today we'll be speaking with Nina Hamza, author of Ahmed Aziz's Epic Year. We have 3 classrooms here with us today, so just to keep everything moving smoothly in the half hour that we have, I'll go over a couple quick rules and then we'll get started, okay? So we will be doing questions 2 at a time, so 2 per classroom, and then we'll move on to the next classroom, and we'll all take turns. When you come up to ask your question, you can use your name and introduce yourself, but I would use only your first name just so that we're safe on the internet. And if somebody else asks a question that you wanted to ask, have a couple backup questions in your mind so that we can hear as much as possible about this fantastic book and our lovely author, okay? Instead of asking the same question over and over. If you are having trouble with your audio, feel free to type your questions in the chat and we can ask them for you, okay? We're gonna get started. We have Ms. Flack's class from Central Grade School, Ms. Gilbert's class from High Point School, and Ms. Handler's class from River Trail School. We'll start with Ms. Flack's class. If you are ready, you can come up and, oh, wait. I am so sorry. I was so excited for all of our questions. I'm going to let our author introduce herself and then we'll get started.
All right, I hope everyone can hear me okay. So my name, like she said, is Nina Hamza, and my book is Ahmed Aziz's Epic Year. And this is the first book I've written, and I'm so excited it's on the Blue STEM list because I say my favorite thing is to force kids to read my book. And my book is about this kid named Ahmed who moves from Hawaii to Minnesota. He's a smart kid, but he doesn't really like to read. He's forced to read 3 books in school, and how he kind of figures out how to deal with his problems and with his bully and his family through the lessons he learns in this book. I guess that's all I really need to say, and I'm excited to hear you guys' questions.
Thank you so much. All right, now we can start with Ms. Flack's class.
My name is Skylar, and my question is, are you working on like any new books?
I am Skylar. I have a book coming out in May, and that one is called Samira's Worst Best Summer, and it's all about this little girl who gets her house toilet papered and then what happens after she gets her house toilet papered. I was asked this morning at a school visit, I was asked how did I come up with the idea, and I said, unfortunately my house was toilet papered many years ago. And I always say, as a writer, one of my favorite things to do is take something bad that happens and try to make something good out of it. So it was a pain to get all that toilet paper off the tree, but now I've got a whole book written about it. So that's what it's about.
Yeah.
Thanks for your question, Skylar.
Hi, my name is Cecilia. And how long have you been an author for?
You know, this book, Ahmed Aziz's Epic Year, it came out in 2021. And so technically I've been an author only for a few years, but I say we're all authors. And when I was talking to my best friend's mom from 2nd grade, and she said that I told her when I was in 2nd grade that I wanted to be a writer. And somehow along the way, I'm a doctor by profession. So somehow along the way, I kind of got lost, but I found myself back. So I would say I've been a writer since 2nd grade, but I've only had a published book in the last couple of years. Thank you, Cecilia, for your question. I like your little table.
Moving on to Ms. Handler's class. You're on mute. You might want to unmute and then start your question over.
So sorry.
My name is Beckett, and why did you make his dad sick in Ahmed Aziz?
So Beckett, I'm, like I said a little earlier, I am a doctor. And so it feels like everything is about illness and stuff like that. And, you know, that is something that happens to people in real life, right? Unfortunately, our parents get sick or our family members get, you know, people we love get sick. And hopefully it helps people learn how to kind of deal with their loved ones' illnesses if they learn how to read about it in a book.
That's good. All right, who wants to ask the next question? AJ. If you remember.
Hi, my name is AJ. And why did you stop Ahmed's plan?
This plan, say it again so she can
Yeah.
hear.
Why did you stop Ahmed's plan?
Like his plan of revenge? Like,
Yeah.
what do you mean? Yeah. Okay. All right, AJ. I had written many versions of this book. Okay. So when I first wrote it, his father was not even alive in the book. And so every time I edited the book, it was a different story. And in fact, you know how he reads 3 books and kind of figures that the 3 books that he did even changed in the last edit. At one point, it was a different book from those 3. So in one version, he did go through the plan, but I felt so mean. And I felt like we can always choose. We always have a choice to do something nice or do something mean. And I like the fact that it's your choice to do that. So he chose to be kind and chose to do something, you know, better, and not be as, just because somebody's mean to you, you don't have to turn around and be mean to them. And that's kind of what he learned in the book. And that's why he didn't go through the plan. When I wrote the version where he did go through, I felt all weird and unsettled. And I was like, why do I not like this? And that's why I didn't like it, because it just felt too mean. And so hopefully we all make choices where we're kinder. But that is a great question. I have never been asked that question before.
Okay, Ms. Gilbert, you have 2 questions.
Thank you.
Okay. Right here, dear. Look right here.
Hi, my name is Danya. How did you come up with Ahmed Aziz's name?
I didn't get your name. What was your name?
Danya.
Done. Okay. So when I first wrote the book, my youngest son's name is Adam, but it's spelled like Adam. And I that was the kid's name, was Adam Aziz. And so right before the book was published, I asked him, I said, do you mind having your name in the book? And he said he didn't want his name in his book. But I liked the way the name was the same letter for the first name and the last name. So I wanted to keep it, you know, I wanted to keep it an A sounding name. And so that's how I picked that name. But sometimes I'll pick names based on people I know, or sometimes I'll just go online and be like, find me a name, and then I'll go through the list. And I didn't get very far on the list. That's how I got stuck on A, because I got stuck right at the beginning of the list. And so that's how I chose name. And sometimes I'll change up the name at the end, because if there's too many characters in one book that have similar sounding names, it's really easy to get them confused. Like if you have a Cora and a Dora, for example, it'll be hard to keep them separate in your head. Or if there are too many characters whose names start with the same letter, then, you know, when we're reading, it's hard to keep them straight, like, oh, who was that about? And so I had to make sure that everyone's name was kind of different, but that's how I chose the name. Thanks for the question.
Jeff. Okay. My name's Daria, and did any events in Ahmad Aziz's epic year actually happen to your real life?
Thank you for that question, Daria. Nothing like that really happened in our life. You asked the same question as my editor, actually. So you must have an editor's brain. So I said, I'm fortunate. None of my kids have been bullied. They've all been fine. But, you know, the characters are like people in my life, but none of the events are like people, things that have happened in my life. Now, things like what they ate for meals and how the family sit around the kitchen table, you know, those sort of little things, yes, they came from real life, but not the big situations. Nobody got arrested. No, there were no cops in our life, you know, none of that. And I'm so grateful that that's not our story. But yeah, nothing happened in our real life, which I'm grateful for. Thank you.
Okay, Miss Flaxclass.
Hi, my name is Madison. And how many books have you written?
Madison, I've written one book that's out. And then that second book, the one that is about the toilet papering, I don't know if you heard that already. That second book comes out in May. And I just started working on writing my third book, but I'm being kind of lazy. So it's not going very far. So I need to get it in gear and work on that one. So 2 books so far is what I'd say.
You.
Thank you.
Hi, my name's Henley.
Henley?
Yes, yeah. What inspired you to write this book?
It's a great question, Henley. So I have 3 children. None of them like to read. And so I started reading the books with them when they were little. So have you read Charlie and the Chocolate Factory or watched the movies or anything? So that was one of the first books that I read with them, read together with them. And so I remember them being super excited that this kid won a chocolate factory and stuff. But I was reading it and I was like, whoa, there's so much more that goes in the story. So what was super interesting to me is that the book hadn't changed. When I read it as a kid, the words were the same, everything was the same. When I read it as an adult, the words were all the same. What had changed was me. So the way I was looking at the book was different. I found that super interesting. So I'm like, what are all the things we can learn from books? And that's how and the main character is kind of based on my son. You know, he's smart, but doesn't like to read. And so that's how I got the idea for that book.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, thanks.
Here you go. See me.
Hello. Hello, my name is Stella and I want to be an author when I'm older. So what is some advice you would give for like finding inspiration and staying motivated to keep working on the story?
Stella, that is my favorite question ever. Okay. Being a writer, I would say, is one of the hardest and one of the easiest things you can do, because there are only 2 rules that I follow for being a writer. The first one is you have to read as much as you can. You cannot be a good writer if you don't read. And the second one is you've got to write as much as you can, because it's like a muscle, like anything. Like when you know how people work out and their biceps get really strong. The same way, the more you read, the more you write, the better you get at it. And then finding people who will help you find, make it better, because you can write down that first story, but most of writing happens in that editing process. And so, you know how when you write an essay and send it off to your teacher and they gave you this great remarks at the top, like, change this and stuff, it's all to make it better. And so finding people who are willing to read your story and tell you what you think without getting offended, without getting upset that somebody doesn't love your story exactly the way you put it. But I would say read and write. And I'm not going to ask you your last name, but hopefully I get to read something that you publish in the future.
Hi, I'm Jasmine, and what gave you the idea to make the book Epic Year?
The title of the book, when I first wrote the title, Jasmine, it was called Brown on White, okay, which was about all this brown person being in this very white place, Minnesota white, because all the kids were white, but also because of all the snow. And people are like, I don't know, that doesn't sound really great. And then my agent, the person who tried to help sell the book to get it published, she's the one who said we should have the main character's name in the book. And she came up with the title, actually. I cannot take any credit for that title at all. But it was, epic can be good, epic can be bad. So he had some pretty big things happen this year. Some of it was good, some of it was bad. So I definitely think it was an epic year. And I liked the title, but I did not come up with it. Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay, Ms. Gilbert's class.
Nice and loud.
Hi, I'm Nadia. How did you feel while you were writing your book?
How did I feel when I was writing my book, Nadia? You know, writing is a very kind of, you do it on your own in your own little house. Like I had no idea, is this a terrible book? Is it a pretty decent book? So I was just kind of writing for the fun of it. And I will tell you, I was going to name one of my characters Nadia in the book at one point. All right. So maybe in one of the next ones. So I would say that it was very exciting for me. Like the actual process was, you know, you sit down and you write. So some days you feel like you did a pretty good job. Some days you think you didn't do a good job at all. But the idea that when I sent it in and they thought, hey, yeah, we think this is good enough that we can get this published, that was super exciting to me, because when you're sitting there and writing by yourself and, you know, you don't know if it's just good to you or if it's good to other, you know, other people find it good as well. So I would say it was super exciting. And to see my name across a book, it felt like something in a dream to see my name across the book. Are you a writer? A little bit? I feel like a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit.
All right. Thanks.
Nope.
Was it tough for you to move to Minnesota?
So I've lived in what was your name?
No.
Noah. Okay. So I've lived in a lot of places, Noah. So I was born in India, and then we lived in England for about 4 years. Then we lived in a country called Libya, which is in Northern Africa, for a few years. And then we lived in Saudi Arabia for a lot of years, which is in the Middle East. And then Texas, and then Brooklyn, New York, and then finally Minnesota. So Minnesota and Illinois are very similar in the way we have our winters and stuff. So I will say it was tough to get used to it. And even now, every year winter rolls, maybe not this winter because our winter's been really good. Every year when winter comes around, I think, oh my goodness, I can't live here. And then my kids tell me I can't say that anymore because it's been 20 years and I haven't moved. So I do love it here now. I just don't love driving in the snow. So it was not tough. It was just a readjustment. And you know, I learned after the first year, the most important thing is, even if it's ugly, you got to get the best, warmest coat you can possibly find, and don't worry about how it looks.
Okay.
Say thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Ms. Flack's class, go ahead.
Hi, my name is Danica. Besides writing books, what do you do for fun?
Besides what do I do for fun, not for my job? Okay, Danica, I would say we travel quite a bit. I like to go to new places. I love trying new restaurants. I love kind of being outside and going for walks. And I am not a sports person. I will watch basketball, but I don't play any sports. And my biggest fear in the entire world is getting off a ski lift. So I would love to try skiing, but I can't seem to get off that ski lift. And so therefore I haven't tried many of the winter sports. In winter, I will do like some snowshoeing, but not much else than that. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Colin. Did you always want to be an author growing up?
Colin, I didn't remember that I wanted to be an author, but I don't know if I just mentioned this now, but my second grade best friend's mom told me that I told her in second grade that I was going to be a writer. So I guess I always did want to be a writer. I just didn't remember it. Thank you.
Are you a doctor and a writer? How are you a writer?
What was your name?
Beckett?
Beckett, I remember. I am a doctor and a writer. So I work in a clinic. You know how you go to your pediatrician's office and they check you out and they give you your shots and all of that? I kind of do that, but I do it for grown-ups instead of for kids. And I like to wake up really early in the morning, like 5 o'clock in the morning and stuff. So I like to write before I go to work. So that's how I am a doctor and a writer. And that's a nice thing about being a writer, is you can do it in all the little, you know how you get little spare time, like you're waiting for your brother's basketball game to be done, or it's taking forever to get into the orthodontist's office or whatever. In all those little times, if all you need is a little piece of paper and a pen, or I'll put some notes down in my phone. So I kind of write any old time, but that's how I do both. Thank you for the question.
Anyone else have a question they want to ask? No? Come up and ask her. Come on, you got it. You got it. One more, hold on, she's coming, being a little shy. Tell her your name.
My name's Amel, and how many times did your book get rejected?
That is such a great question. I was very lucky in that when I first started looking for the agent, I think it only got rejected like 4 times before the agent picked it up, and like 5 times before when they try to find a publisher, which seems like a lot, but it's not a lot. I have some people who, some of my favorite books, if you look into it, they'll say that nobody wanted it for years. And I always think, oh my goodness, why wouldn't they want that great story? But that's the thing with reading, is that it's so personal. What you like, somebody else is going to hate. What somebody else likes, you will hate, so yeah, so that's how many times it got published. And I'll tell you something, I'm a little shy as well. All right. And so, on the cover of the book, it says, fake it till you make it. And one of the things that I mean by that is, and I've used it for myself, is that when I get a little nervous to do something like ask a question or go tell somebody that I don't want that, they send me the wrong order or whatever, I will just pretend like I'm really confident and feeling very good about it. And then it works, because nobody can tell what you feel like on the inside. They can only see what you show them on the outside. So even if I'm super nervous and my heart is pounding and stuff, they can't see any of that. So I just pretend like I just hold my shoulders back, and I just pretend like, yes, do it this way. And that always works for me. Thank you for your question, though.
Okay, Miss Gilbert's class, do you have 2 more questions?
We do. Say your name first.
Hi, my name's Eunice. Why did you pick Doritos as the chips that bully hits instead of Lay's or any else?
All right, Eunice, what do you like Doritos or don't like Doritos?
They're good, but also bad at the same time.
Right?
So
that's how I kind of feel about Doritos as well. And they leave your fingers all red, and it's like, you can't just eat them and go, because your fingers are going to be red. So it's kind of an annoying snack, but also you keep going back for more, right? Like, it's like, you can't just eat one Dorito and be done with it, And so I felt like it was like the perfect snack, because it's good, but it's also annoying, exactly like you said. So what should I have picked, do you think?
maybe, I really don't know. Maybe
See,
like
okay. If I had picked something that doesn't, like Cheetos would have been good. But Cheetos is a very likable snack. But Doritos, people have mixed feelings about. So I have never been asked that question either. All right.
Thank
Thank
you.
you for that.
All right.
Hello, my name is Roddy. Did you or someone you know go through a similar situation, just like the one in Ahmad Aziz's epic year?
Thank you so much, Ronnie, for that question. I am so happy to say that nobody I know has gone through that situation, because he had a lot go on, right? He had so many bad things happen to him, but luckily he did find a lot of good friends to help him out. So we did not have any of that happen to him, but I'm glad he worked it all out for himself. Thank you.
Welcome.
Okay, we've got about 5 minutes left, so we're going to do, I think, 1 question at a time, just so that we keep it all even. We can go back to Ms. Flack's class for their next question.
Hi, my name is Thomas, and what is your favorite book that you've written?
Did you ask me, Thomas, what is the favorite book I've written or read?
Read.
Read? Okay. My favorite. my favorite middle grade books are some of the three I put in the book. Like Holes, I would say, is one of my favorite books ever. And if you have not read it, you need to read it. I would say that the opening sentence in Holes is one of the best opening sentences of all time. All right. And go find a copy, read that first sentence, even if you don't read the whole book, and see how every word that he wrote in that book, in that opening sentence, is just perfect.
We had a big Holes party.
You had a big Holes party.
We even watched the movie.
I love that. And the movie is really good too. But did you notice that the main character looked very different in the movie than what you would expect from the book? I felt like, they described him very differently in the book. I wondered why they did that, but I thought the movie was also excellent. Sometimes it's not. You know how it is? You read a book and then you watch the movie and you're like, that wasn't anything like the book. But I felt like the movie and the book were both excellent. I'm so glad you guys read it. I would have loved to come to your Holes party.
Okay, Ms. Handler's class.
Seems we have a spokesperson. Here we go.
Do you plan to
love it.
write a sequel to
Starting.
do you plan to write a sequel to Ahmed Aziz's Epic Year?
Thank you, Beckett. I asked the same question of my agent because wouldn't it be easier? I already know all the characters and all of that. And she said that, no, I don't think a sequel would sell. Usually sequels are for books that are really popular. Like, you know how you read the Diary of a Wimpy Kid book and stuff like that. So no, the second one is completely different from the first one.
Got it.
Thank you, Beckett. I feel like Beckett and I are friends at this point.
Hi, my name is Muhammad, and what's your favorite book you've read? Written.
So Mohammed, I have only written 2 books, and I would say they're like my children. So it's like asking who's your favorite child. The first one was very exciting because I had never written a book before and I had never seen my name published. And the first time they sent it to me, I felt like, is this even real? And so there's that excitement. But then there's going to be a whole new experience when it's the second child or the second book as well. Thank you, Mohammed.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Okay, Ms. Flack's class.
He's coming. Come on up. Okay.
Hi, my name is Jackson. How do you keep motivated to keep writing?
You know, Jackson, that is one of the hardest questions ever, okay? It's when I get bored of writing, I try to find friends who like to write and we sit in the same room and we write together. Going for a walk outside is super helpful. Reading things that get you really excited makes me want to write. And then sometimes when none of that works, I just have to force myself and be like, okay, you are just going to spend 20 minutes and just do some writing and see what happens. So sometimes I get motivation from outside, but sometimes I just got to force it from inside as well. But that's a really good question. If I could solve that problem, I would probably have a lot more books out. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Julia, and I was wondering when you were younger, what was like one of your favorite books to read? It was like your comfort book.
That is a great question. My comfort book was probably the Ramona Quimby books. Do you know? I don't know if you guys read those anymore. No, and
We have them in the library, but
and anything by the author Judy Blume. And when I was in 3rd grade and I was living in Saudi Arabia, I actually sent her a fan letter, and she wrote me back, which was one of my most prized possessions. But somewhere along the way in life, I lost it. So I was super upset about that. So I actually emailed her last year and just said, it was one of my pride. And it was so fantastic. She wrote back to me, and now I will keep that email forever. But those Ramona Quimby books and anything by Judy Blume, I would say were what is your comfort book you must have one because you had that was such a good question.
My comfort book is Eva Evergreen, The Semi-Magical Witch by Julie Abe. And I actually wrote a fan letter to an author too. It was the person who wrote Coraline, because Coraline has always been my comfort book and movie.
Oh, I'm sure they loved hearing from you. Thank you for your question.
Okay, last question from Ms. Gilbert's class.
How did writing Ahmed Aziz's epic year impact you?
Impact me?
Yeah.
That is, I would say my favorite part of having written the book is doing school visits and getting to meet kids who have read the book, or like, you know, some liked it, some don't like it, and that's fine. Even hearing why they don't like it, but getting to meet the kids that have read it has been my favorite part of publishing a book like this. Like, I love hearing these questions, and, you know, I'm like, okay, it gives me energy to go write a second book, or a third book, I should say. Thank you.
Okay, we're just about at the end of our time, but all of our
Thank you
kids
so
and
much.
classrooms had so many fantastic questions. I'm very impressed. If you want to unmute yourselves so you can all say goodbye, you can turn
Say
your
thank
cameras
you.
and your microphones on. Say
Sorry, some of
goodbye.
them had to
Thank
leave.
you.
Thank
you guys so
you.
much. I would agree those were some fantastic questions, and some that I have actually never heard before.
Bye.
Bye.